All right. Well, hey guys, it's Rebecca Ruth. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I have Emma.Manis with me. Hey, Emma.
Hi, thank you
How
so
are
much for
you?
having me. I'm good.
Thanks for being
Excited to be
here.
here.
Yes, thanks for being here. All right. So you guys know I like to jump right in. So Emma, tell us where you are and what you do in the industry.
My name is Emma Manis. I am located in Richmond, Virginia. I have been a fashion stylist for a couple years now, but I graduated from VCU School of the Arts in 2017. Decided to launch my own women's wear company called Evolve. So I'm the owner of that and CEO. And then aside from that, I also am getting ready to launch a nonprofit. So that's the other piece of my little puzzle that I do. But love all things fashion, love connecting women and empowering women in different ways. So that's me, and that's what I do. And I'm just really happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, clearly we love fashion here, but so what brought this on? Why fashion? Why a stylist? Tell us a little bit of the backstory to this.
Yeah, so my backstory is actually not a fashion story whatsoever. I grew up wanting to go to medical school, so I actually started off at VMI, Virginia Military Institute. Had a soccer scholarship there, was not my thing at all. I was doing pre-med, but it just wasn't, it didn't feel like the best fit for me for my future. And I really have always been more on the creative track and that side of things. So I decided after the first semester to make the switch to VCU Arts. And as soon as I got there, I fell in love. So my grandmother was actually a fashion illustrator and an artist in general. So she was the reason why I fell in love with fashion in the first place. So that's been really, really cool to kind of have that connection to her. But I would say like my love for it came so long ago. I've always loved putting outfits together that made me feel confident. So the more that I like started to help out on other people's shoots and saw that I could use clothing to empower other women too, I was pretty much like sold on that piece of it because I loved it. And I loved, seeing a woman walk out and be like, wow, I look really good. Or like seeing the photos and then someone being like, is that me? Like, yes, this has always been you. It's just the power of clothing and what confidence does for you. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the stylist? Sorry, I looked her up. Solange Franklin.
Yes.
Okay, so I was just watching an interview with her today because that's part of my fashion homework.
Yeah.
And she's pre-med, so I was like, "Oh, you're pre-med. She was pre-med. Look
The
at
connection. I know.
that."
And seeing stuff like that is really cool too. Like after I switched over, I was like, this is the weirdest transition ever. No one is ever going to believe this, but seeing other people, like knowing that other people can go from like one end to the other and completely flourish is really cool. And that's not even just for fashion. That's whatever you want to do with your life. So
Right, yeah, but it is it is I think it's really courageous, to be honest,
yeah.
because you know like both of you guys, now I can talk about being pre-med. That's very specific.
Yeah.
And like she said on her interview that I was watching today, it's like, pre-med, your life is kind of planned out for the next 14 years. You're gonna go to school, you're gonna do residency, da, 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 da. And then it's like to go from that to the creative field where it's like anything flows.
Yeah. Whatever you want to do.
Whatever you feel like today.
Yeah.
That is quite a jump. So I think it is really brave. I mean, my jump wasn't as brave. I had a degree in business and then got a master's in counseling, and I was just like,
Do something else.
I mean, the master's in counseling does help with fashion,
Yeah.
in fashion though. It really does. And just for fun, soccer. I love soccer. What's the problem there?
Why did I leave then?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking? So when I ended up transferring to VCU, I played my entire life, like from when I was 4 until I was at VMI. So what is that? 14 years. And when I transferred to VCU, I kind of like just had an understanding that being at an actual like college rather than a military school I could get that real college experience. So I dove into everything. I joined a sorority, joined a bunch of clubs. Like, I really just wanted to be like this like fun college girl who was exploring what she wanted to do and following her passions, not really giving a crap about what anyone else said. So that was why I didn't end up playing at VCU too. And I still play soccer for fun, like just on co-ed teams and stuff, but I knew it wasn't going to be the rest of my life. So might as well have some fun.
No, I love soccer, so maybe someday we'll get a little
Yes.
thing going.
Yes.
But I do love what you said about, empowering women. So does the empowerment for you come from that kind of transformation moment, that kind of, my son was watching or reading, I don't remember which one, the Ugly Duckling story. And, when you said that, that kind of clicked in my mind, that moment of like, oh, like I'm not, that ugly thing. So is that where the empowerment for you is like seeing yourself in a different way?
Yeah, I think so. That's definitely a piece of it. And I think that's for sure a piece for everyone. Like, we all feel better when we're, dressed up and we're feeling our best. But the other piece of empowerment for me is actually being to empower other people. So like that always motivates me in my recovery, my eating disorder. It motivates me to keep going at the other jobs that I have going on to pay the bills for Evolve right now, because we are so new. So I think just being able to witness other women like kind of go through their own evolution is what really empowers me. So I love just allowing, or I guess like inviting women to see themselves as how they really are. So
I like that. That's very cool. So let's talk a little bit about your nonprofit and where that came from, where that birthed from.
Yes, so I have been in recovery for an eating disorder for about 2.5 years now. So when I graduated college, I just started working in menswear, which was not like the love of my life, but it was a job. You always want to take, the first job, especially in fashion in Richmond. I was like, okay, this is a really great opportunity. So I started working there. I really liked it at first, but the more time went on, it just didn't feel like home to me. So I think I kind of pulled back a little bit and was in my own head. So that was going on. I was the only person out of all my friends to like graduate and move in with my boyfriend. So it was so many big changes going on at the same time. And then I was sexually assaulted at a bar downtown Richmond. So all of these things kind of came together, created the perfect storm. And I ended up losing a very significant amount of weight in a super short time. And doctors told me, if you don't do something about this, you're going to die. My organs were starting to shut down. So it was very, very serious at that point. So I had started to look for places for recovery, and a friend of mine, her name's Colleen, she actually reached out to me and she was like, would you like to work together sometime? So she was doing photography and I was doing like influencing, I guess, on social media. So we partnered up, and after we did like 2 shoots together, we were like, we're a really good pair. We should maybe like talk about starting a company together. So we did. And we called it Evolve because we really wanted to evolve with women throughout their lives. So the goal is to be able to carry something for infants all the way up to older women. So women can literally evolve through their clothing, through their own evolution with us. They can, trust this reliable retailer, affordable prices. And it's great if you want to shop for your girls and you want to match. Like, we really wanted to just create this community, I guess is a great way to describe it, that was totally inclusive, way more representative of the industry standards that we have always seen. And that was another really big thing for us too, is it's like, you always go onto websites and you see, the same thin white model or the same body type, like same skin tones, whatever it is, it's always the same kind of beauty standard. So we noticed that, and it was something that had obviously really affected me. It affects a lot of women in our body image, and just our self-esteem. If you don't see someone that looks like you, you're like, well, does that mean my body and like the way that I look is wrong? So we pretty much wanted to totally wipe the slate clean, which is where we came up with Beauty Has No Limits. So that's our slogan, and kind of our whole mission that we're on is to create this whole new standard of beauty and have people know that beauty literally has no limits. So no matter your age, your race, your shape, your size, your ability, your background, you are beautiful, and everyone deserves to feel beautiful. Everyone deserves to have clothing that makes them feel good, and empowers them in a different way. So that's where the Beauty Has No Limits piece of it came into. And then last fall, we had our first ever fashion show. So we took our message actually to the streets, put on a whole runway show where we represented all different types of women. And it was called the Evolution Fashion Show. So did a street show out on the street. We had like 55 different models, I think it was, all different types of women, you know, gender identities. Yeah,
I have a hard time with like 25, 30. So that's kudos to you guys.
Moving pieces. It was a lot of moving pieces, a lot of awesome volunteers. So that was our first fashion show ever, and all of the money that we raised from that show, we've started to put towards our foundation. So the foundation, back to your original question, got to give the backstory first. But the foundation is a nonprofit organization that we're getting ready to fully launch. And what we do is we really take all of our money and provide like scholarships for treatment for people with eating disorders, because a lot of insurance companies don't cover treatment. So I remember my first year, I think out of pocket for my parents was around 20 grand. So it's very expensive, and I want to do whatever I can to, you know, help those cut those costs in the areas that we can, at least. Just if it helps aid one person, then that's more than enough. So that's one thing that the foundation will do. And then aside from that, we're also going to be setting up support groups on college campuses for body image and eating disorders, because obviously a lot of people deal with this, both men and women. So if you're more body image issues, there will be one for you. But if you're eating disorder specific, we want to make sure that you have that place to feel heard and seen too. So those are the two big things that we're working on right now, building up. And then that third piece of it is actually connecting with fashion industry professionals. So the Fashion Council of America, getting in contact with them, and really just going in as the foundation and being there to, for one thing, educate them on body image issues, the statistics behind eating disorders specifically in the industry, and then also providing them with resources that they can distribute to their staff, their coworkers, models that they may see, and also providing, you know, different tips and just ways that you can approach someone who you think might be struggling in a more constructive and positive way. Because a lot of people with eating disorders, if you're, you know, a little aggressive with it, it doesn't sit well because you're already so just wrapped up in your own head. So I'm really trying to, I guess, get to the root of this bigger problem of body image, diet culture. Obviously, the fashion community and the fashion industry really contributes to that. And I want to be able to take responsibility for the things that we can control and the things that we can contribute to. So I think that us, you know, getting down to the bare bones and really trying to start with the problem from the bottom is at least one way that we can influence. So yeah, that's what we're doing with the foundation and Evolve. It kind of is all like intertwined together, but yeah, I love it with my whole heart. I love everything that we do. So
no, it all intertwines, and I can recognize your passion, and I love it because, you know, obviously, like, that's why this group was created. That's why the nonprofit Runway to Life was created. was to tackle some of these issues. And I always say, the reason why I wanted to create Worthy, this group, was because a lot of people deal with body image and, I'm like completely losing everything. Body image, and what was the other one?
Just like low self-esteem.
There we go.
Yeah.
Eating disorders. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Body image, eating disorders. Not Runway to Life is specifically, mental health, suicide prevention. But I created this group specifically for fashion industries because I say it all the time. This industry is all about your physical appearance. Mm-hmm. And imagine, like, it's hard enough for just the average person, but imagine being in an industry where you are judged every day constantly by the way you look, by the way your clients look, because don't think that just because you're not in front of one camera, you're not being judged as well. Because if your client goes out looking a hot mess according to them, now they're looking at you like, well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. So, no, it's so true.
Yeah. So don't, like, people aren't exempt because they're behind the camera. I learned that the hard way because I chose to go behind the camera, and I had just as much judgment and scrutiny as if I was a model in front of the camera. So it's awesome to me. Like, I love hearing things like this because that's why I created this. And so that's where my heart is for industry people. To kind of smash all those, it's very old school. And so it's like, I'm not upset at the old school way of thinking, but I think that it is time to evolve. And I think that now is a great time for it because we finally are getting to the point where I literally have seen everything on the runway in print. I mean, we had a girl walking with Down syndrome for the first time in New York Fashion Week last year. So it's like, we're literally starting to see everything in fashion now. So now, but there is still that, that way of thinking. So I think it's awesome.
Thank you. And I think too, like, my goal is for us to get to the point where, like, we've created this whole new standard that, like, isn't even questioned anymore. Like, right now, it's like, if you see someone with a disability on the runway, it's like, oh my God, like, oh, praise them for being inclusive. But it's like, I don't want it to be a big deal that we're inclusive. Like, inclusivity needs to be a necessity. There's no other option. There's no other choice. Like, you're inclusive because beauty doesn't have any limits. Like, we're inclusive because beauty does not have any, like, certain number or size that you have to be. It doesn't have, like, a checkbox for your race. Like, none of that. I want you to feel good in your clothing because you deserve to feel good in your clothing. And, like, that's that, so
that's awesome. Was it because you had already started your company when you dealt with your eating disorder, correct? So was that tough being in this industry while tackling your eating disorder at the same time?
Yeah, it has been a huge challenge, especially, like, I think it's more so obviously around, like, summertime because everyone's in bathing suits and I feel more pressure around those times. But the cool thing for me has been kind of, like, retraining my brain around all of it. So I've had the opportunity to look at it more as, like, okay, you were not created to, like, fit into this standard. You were created to make a new standard. So it's like, even though I don't fit into all those little boxes that they have, I'm breaking the boxes and creating a huge box that everyone can fit into. So it has been a challenge. Recovery is always going to be a challenge regardless, just because of the illness itself. It is not an easy thing to deal with or treat. But I'm also very grateful for what it has given me and the people it has given me. And kind of just, like, my whole perspective has changed around, like, life itself and the way that other people carry themselves. So I think it's given me a lot more empathy and compassion too. So I'm, it is hard trying to recover from this when you're also working in it at the same time. But I think I have developed a little bit more of an understanding of, like, why other women feel the need to do the things that they need to do. Whether it's, like, posting flat tummy teas and stuff like that, that's just not actually beneficial to society or, like, empowering women to love themselves as they are. So I think, like, all in all, it has been one of the most positive things that has ever happened to me, which sounds crazy to say, but at the end of the day, like, it has changed my life for the best, and I still would not trade it for anything because it's made me who I am. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy at all, because it's like we grow from what we go through, you know.
Yeah.
What was it? Somebody said it so
Grow
eloquently.
through what you go
Thank
through.
you. I was like, there's something so eloquent, like,
Yeah, it's so
you grow
true,
through what you go through. Yeah. So I mean, you grow through what you go through, and the thing is, you wouldn't be so passionate to have this huge platform that you have now had you not gone through it. So
Right.
I truly believe things happen for a reason, and I know that's a whole argument, whatever, that we're not getting into, but I believe that, so I'm gonna say it. And so I think, yeah, I don't think it's weird to say at all, actually. Yeah, so that's that. But
It's funny though that you say that, because like, I remember going through my last class, which was entrepreneurship. So we literally like learned how to open our own store, the whole 9 yards, like from start to finish. And I said to myself, after I took that class, I will never own my own company for as long as I live. And then 6 months later, here I am starting my own company.
I mean, you know what? I don't blame you for that, because I always say you have to be a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur. Like, you have to have 100%. A little bit of a crazy streak, because it's not normal.
Yeah.
Like, it really is.
Really not.
It's like, people are kind of like, why would you?
Yeah.
Why go through all of that? So I mean, I
Yeah.
understand that 100%, because there are definitely days where I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I could, I could go get a job or something. Like, why am I doing this?
And not have to worry about anything else. Yeah,
exactly. Just go
but
do
it's
my
what
work,
you love.
go home, but you love it. And then on top of that, it's like, when you love it, and I know this is cliche, but it's so true, it doesn't feel like work to me. There are days where I'm literally like, wait, this is what I do.
Yeah. Every photo shoot, I'm like, I get to do this?
Exactly.
This is so cool.
and that's key right there, when you're able to say, I get to do this, rather than I have to do this. You know, so yeah, I don't think you do. There's a little bit of insanity in you to be an entrepreneur.
That's fine.
Sorry, guys, but it is what it is. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see more about your nonprofit. I'm also excited because I'm going to do a photo shoot with you at some point, and you're going to get me out of my comfort zone.
I totally will. I'm the best like photo shoot mom you'll ever have in your life. I'll be in the background like, yeah, girl.
I need like some crunk music going on in the background, something something that like gets me like, hey, that always helps. But so where can people connect with you, on the social media front?
For sure. So all of our stuff on social media for Evolve is just Shop Evolve. It's all together. So that's on Instagram, and then on Facebook it's Shop Evolve. And then if you want to find me, it's just Emma, so emma.manis. So my last name is MANIS. I post a lot of like more body image and eating disorder stuff related on my page. So if that's something that you're into and you need more support, I'm always posting like resources, information, sharing a bunch of stuff too. So yeah, come check me out. Come hang with me. Come be my friend.
That's awesome. I guess the last thing, maybe I should have done this before I asked for your information, but I would say is maybe like, what is the biggest takeaway for people, because I think you were in a unique position, because I dealt with an eating disorder but years ago. So by the time I really got into the industry, I had I had dealt with it, I was dealing with it, but you're in a unique position that you're dealing with it while like in it, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say to people, who are in it, getting ready to get into it, whatever it is, about that balancing act of, taking care of yourself while in this industry?
That's a really good question. So my biggest thing that I always tell everyone is find your why. So find your why to stay in recovery, find your why to keep going, find your why to like do all of the hard things or the things that you might not want to do. Because keeping hold of your why and like your values, that will always tie you to who you are and like what you really want in this life. And I think a lot of times like when we're going through something, we can almost be like pulled in a bunch of different directions of like, what's the point? Like, why am I still doing this? But if you always come back to that why, that'll keep you focused on your track. And you're going to stray sometimes. Like, we all do it. I've definitely skipped a couple meals here and there throughout my recovery. But I've kept holding on to that why. And like, it, again, it's so cliche, but like, you just cannot give up. Because like the only person who is going to stand in your way of like specifically recovering from an eating disorder is you. So, you know, and I think that everyone has the ability to recover, but it's more of the willingness, I think, and the commitment that you're going to make to yourself, for your future. And I think like for me, being able to build up this life that I wanted and could work towards was something that really kept me motivated. It's different for everyone. So I think being able to find a balance between the things that empower you and make you your best self is what's most important. I'm a very high strung person. So like I barely sit down. Like I just can't. It's how I deal with things. I gotta like work through it. I'm working while I'm like processing. So to be able to have like a good balance, I think you just have to spend a little bit more time with yourself and start to understand like who you are. I recommend therapy to everyone. It's amazing. Please go to therapy. Just because like it can kind of help you dig into like who you are if you don't totally know or you want to explore who you are a little bit more. And it'll help you find the things that maybe can become hobbies to you or things that are more self-care. Just because I think as women, like we're kind of turned off from the idea of self-care and like just taking care of ourselves because by like nature's design, we're supposed to be like the caretakers, but you can't, it's the same saying that everyone says, you can't pour from an empty glass. So like you got to fill your own glass, you got to put your mask on the airplane before you can help someone else. So I think, you know, discovering that too is something that has really helped me, is like being able to put myself first in that kind of way and understand that like my needs are also important. It's been a long journey, I will tell you that. And it's still ongoing. Like there are still days where I'm like, I genuinely don't think that I can keep doing this, but still wake up, still try again. And if you like mess up or you're having a bad day, just know that that is temporary and it does not last forever. Just keep holding on, keep fighting, because there's a rainbow at the end of all this rain.
Oh man. Yeah, that was first of all, I just want to, I want to thank you for your transparency and your willingness to just open up, because it's not easy to talk about, and not everyone is comfortable talking about it, but I truly believe that it helps someone.
Yeah,
And I always say, even if it helps one person, that's something. That
exactly.
one person, may now reach out to someone, or may, book a session with a therapist or something
Exactly.
like that. So all of your nuggets were amazing. The only thing I'll add to it is just, besides finding your why and taking care of yourself, reach out.
Yeah.
That's one of the main reasons for this group, to let people know that there are people to reach out to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a therapist by any means, but I will talk to you and I will get you to one if you need one. Runway to Life, of course, has so many resources for people. You have resources, so reach out. There are people around who,
Yeah.
one, probably understand what you're going through, and two, who are willing to help you, support you, and get you those resources. So
Exactly.
Emma,
Yes.
I just want to say thanks so much.
Thank you. I had so much fun talking to you, and I can't wait to do our photo shoot.
I know. I was gonna say I'm sure. Like one of the cool things about doing these interviews is like I'm always like, I know I'm gonna see you soon, so I'm just gonna say see you later because it's like, oh, I'll know I'll meet you someday.
Yes, and I know for a fact that I'll be. Yeah, I know for a fact I'll be seeing you later.
Yep. We'll get
you set up, girl.
I'm ready. I'm good. So
it'll be awesome.
So thanks so much, and I will talk to you later.
All right, bye. Thank you.